guys, and welcome to another episode of my channel. Today, finally, it's going to be the review, and I'll try to be as precise and short as possible of the Rolex Air King. And it's my first Rolex, and I finally pulled the trigger in 2021. I have an unboxing video on my channel, and I almost own it for a year right now, and I want to give you my thoughts on it. Before we start, let's get into the history of the Rolex Air King, and it's one of the oldest names in Rolex catalog. It dates back to 1945 with the Air series. There was the Air Lion, the Air Giant, the Air Tiger, and the Air King, and they were actually supposed to be pilots' watches. And in 2016, Rolex came up with a brand new Air King. The other Air King was discontinued, or the predecessor, in 2014. And with the Oyster Perpetual series taking over this entry-level role at Rolex. And at Baselworld 2016, the Air King came. And as the most affordable option within, or an affordable option within Rolex product catalog. It's significantly larger than its predecessors that were 34 millimeter cases. The Air King 106-900 boasts a 40 millimeter stainless steel Oyster case, and it's basically the same case as the Milgauss. So it's also anti-magnetic, and the only difference actually is that it is entirely brushed. I mean, apart from the flanks, the sides of the case, but it doesn't have the polished center links, unlike the Milgauss, so it looks even more sporty. The case comes with a twin lock crown. You can see here this line indicates that it is water resistant to 100 meters. And what else is there to say? It's the bracelet, the same as with the Milgauss, and also the difference on the clasp. This is embossed instead of like going out, I don't know the right term, but it has the EasyLink 5 millimeter extension. So, but overall simple clasp, and I really like it that it's not that big, and it has this typical Rolex Oyster steel, which is very resistant to corrosion, but not as scratch resistant as the regular steel. At least this is what I experienced. As I said, it's anti-magnetic like the Milgauss. It's powered by the Rolex caliber 3131, a real powerhouse and automatic movement, but nothing to write home about. It's just a very solid movement, 40 hours of power reserve, and it gives you a guarantee of +2, -2 seconds per day. It's a superlative chronometer, which is officially certified. Yeah, the movement, as I said, nothing to write home about, a very solid movement, but that's it. And to the price of the watch, the suggested retail price in the beginning was around 6,000 euros. And with the price increase of 2022, it is has a list price of 6,700 euros, but you know, list prices are something for the catalog, but not for real life when it comes to Rolex. Right now, they're trading way above 7,000 euros. Usually you have to pay, I think, around 8,000 to 9,000 euros, and it's getting hotter and hotter because people are thinking once again that Rolex is going to discontinue the Air King. And the reason for that is that this model was actually paying homage to the Bloodhound project, a race car project, or a high-speed, hyperspeed car, which runs at the Salt Lakes in the US, and it has the same like instruments like the Air King, but this partnership isn't continuing. It was discontinued, the partnership, and there's a new name to the Bloodhound project. You have the Milgauss, which is anti-magnetic, and so many people think there's no place left for the Air King, so maybe Rolex is going to discontinue the model this year, but who knows? Totally speculations. But it also has almost forgot that it has Lumibright on the hands and on the 12-hour triangle, which is really weird looking, And yeah, something special about this watch is that it has the Rolex in green and the crown in yellow, so the corporate colors of Rolex. So what do you think? It's 40 millimeter case, 30 millimeters in height. And let me put it on my 7-inch wrist. So you see it. It wears pretty good. It's quite heavy, and it wears bigger than its dimensions would suggest. So it wears, if this makes any sense, like a 41 millimeter watch. So I wouldn't really recommend this watch for wrists smaller than my size. So way smaller than 7-inch wrists, you shouldn't have those. I mean, 6.5 is probably still okay, but I think 7-inch plus would be the right size to wear this Air King. So what do you think? Is it worth paying that much money for a watch? It depends. You have to put it into perspective. If you're buying a Rolex, at least this is what I think, you're not buying it because of the outstanding craftsmanship, that it is very, let's say, high tech or stuff. No, it isn't. It is a very solid, robust watch, period, when it comes to watchmaking. And it is very well made, no question about that. But there are other watches way cheaper that are also very well made. You buying a Rolex, and this is what I think and what I did, at least for 50% out of the buying reasons, because of the name, because it is a Rolex. There's a hype around it. I mean, just look up what kind of people wore Rolexes. I mean, Fidel Castro, Martin Luther King. You can continue, the presidents of the US. So there's so many famous people wearing Rolexes, so much history combined to it. And also the history as a German, which is really interesting to me, is that Hans Wilsdorf was a German from Bavaria who moved out of Germany to Switzerland, to the UK, and he really made something out of nothing and made one of the most well-known brands. I mean, like Coca-Cola, Mercedes-Benz and Rolex. Those are like the brands everyone in the world knows. So this is part of the reason why you are buying a Rolex. Like it or not, this is what I think. So, but if you want something like really special, you want the nice details and everything, I wouldn't buy a Rolex. Because, I mean, when it comes to finishing, I have here a Tissot PRX quartz. Yeah, it's a quartz, not the automatic. It's under 300 euros what I've paid for it. And if I look at the finishing, I can really tell you that it's that much worse than the Rolex. It's a different watch, different kind of watch, of course, I know, but the attention to detail, the reflections and everything looks almost even more interesting. And to make my case even clearer, if you go for example, the Marine Master, which I have here, the Seiko Marine Master, it's at the gray market, it's like a third of the price of the Air King. And look at this Zaratsu finishing, really, really nice. And also if you want to wear it on a leather strap, actually I can't wear Rolex or Tudor watches on a leather strap because you have this awful, ugly gap, which isn't finished at all. Here you have high polished gap between the lugs, so it's a delight to look at it if you wear it on a leather strap. And probably the biggest reason, if you just want one luxury watch, not to buy a Rolex as an entry apart from the price, is simply the Omega Speedmaster. Just look at it, the design of the lugs. I mean, I know that it is personal preference, but simply look at the Speedmaster and all the details. And if you do this on a day-to-day basis, I guarantee you almost that you will find way more interesting light play reflections than on the Air King. The Air King is just, it's a steel stunner. The steel of the Rolex steel has a special sheen to it, which I really like, but it wouldn't be my biggest suggestion if you want only one luxury watch. So to sum it up, it's a good entry in the Rolex world. Right now I wouldn't pay it because there's another hype going on around the discontinuation theme, but just look at it maybe after April or March, when there is the decision whether they continue producing the model or not. Then I would probably suggest it as an entry type of sports Rolex. And so far I'm happy with it, but if I can make some money on it in the near future, I will probably sell it. So thank you very much for watching. If you haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe to my channel and see you on the next one.